Okay, there's a few things that I want to learn about the Mimic today. We're going to be watching FNAF, my boy. So yeah, let's get it.
In December 2024, we received a content update for Help Wanted 2, where Steelwool hid a bunch of puzzle pieces throughout the game. If you collected all of the puzzle pieces and put them together, a building would appear in front of you. When you walked up to the building, you were met with 4 numbers, 4625. When we first saw these numbers, everyone thought that that was going to be the release date of Secret of the Mimic, April 6th, 2025. Until the Secret of the Mimic trailer came out, and we got the actual release date, June 13th, 2025. So if 4625 isn't the release date, then what do the numbers mean? Well, I think those numbers are the key to solving Secret of the Mimic, including who we play as, what's gonna happen, and how the game is going to end. Make sure to subscribe, and let's see if I can predict exactly what we're going to see in Secret of the Mimic 3 months before it comes out. Let's start with the building we saw in the Help Wanted 2 update. A lot of you might have seen this building
That's actually crazy that this game really do come out in a couple months.
and thought, what in the world am I looking at? And you might have thought this because we didn't really have much to go off of. We knew it was some sort of gift shop that was selling masks, we knew that it was associated with this logo and the letters MCM, and we knew because of the puzzle that there was some sort of factory either attached to it or located close by. A lot of this was brand new stuff that we've never seen before, but this stuff quickly started making sense once the Secret of the Mimic trailer came out 2 months later. In the trailer, we learn a bunch of stuff about the game. The game takes place in 1979, which is the earliest game we now have in the FNAF timeline.
What are you doing, Mommy?
I thought I heard you come in our room just now.
In it, we play as a Fazbear Entertainment employee being sent into an abandoned warehouse. This warehouse belongs to Edwin Murray, a contractor for Fazbear Entertainment who has apparently gone missing. This already answers a question from the Help Wanted 2 update. This factory-looking place in the background of the puzzle is Edwin's abandoned warehouse that we're going to be exploring in Secret of the Mimic. If you don't know already, Edwin Murray is a character who was introduced in the Tales from the Pizzaplex books, and those books basically tell us everything we need to know about him. We learned that Edwin was a very talented engineer, and his job was to turn Fazbear Entertainment mascot costumes into fully functioning animatronics. This is why throughout his warehouse you can see a bunch of mascot costumes all over the place. This is backed up by the official description for the game, where it states, "Enter the abandoned workshop of Murray's Costume Manor and unravel the mystery left behind by the reclusive inventor Edwin Murray." This one sentence solves yet another mystery from Help Wanted 2. The logo featured on the top of the building and on the puzzle is the logo for Murray's Costume Manor, MCM. This building is the entrance to Edwin's abandoned warehouse. This is interesting because Edwin's warehouse in the books was seemingly nothing like this. In the books, the warehouse doubled as a living space for Edwin and his son, but also a workspace where Edwin could build his inventions. The building was described as being extremely dirty and worn down. The name Murray's Costume Manor and the logo are also never mentioned in the books. In the games, it seems that Edwin's warehouse is almost acting similar to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, where the public could come and visit the warehouse to see Edwin's inventions in person, featuring a gift shop where people could buy toys and masks of their favorite characters. This is further proven by this part of the trailer, where we access a computer that says Reset Welcome Show. Not only was there a gift shop, there was also a welcome show that would play for people who visited Murray's Costume Manor, featuring Edwin's animatronic characters. But, like we learn in the trailer, Edwin has apparently gone missing, and Fazbear Entertainment is sending us into his warehouse to retrieve one of his inventions, the Mimic, the character we saw at the end of Security Breach Ruin. But what we're being told in the trailer might not be completely true. In the trailer, we're being told that
one of our contractors, Edwin Murray, has gone missing, leaving our property abandoned in his warehouse. Your job is simple. Enter the warehouse and retrieve the technology that he was developing for.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put in some of my key points here. I think Edwin Murray isn't missing, obviously. I think they captured him and he's been with them for as long as he has been, maybe years, months. And they're probably torturing him, and he's probably giving them like some type of hints of what's still there and what's not there that he made himself, and the Fazbear Entertainment was to that factory to go get what's his, meaning Edwin Murray's, like, his developments. Um, I feel that all his work is gonna be taken, majority of it, like some of his blueprints and most of his creations. But yeah, let's continue.
There's two key words that Fazbear might be lying about here. Quote, enter the warehouse and retrieve the technology that he was developing for us. In the story The Mimic from the Tales books, Edwin didn't make the Mimic for Fazbear Entertainment, he made it for his son, David. The Mimic wasn't something he was hired to build, it was something he built in his free time for his son. So if Fazbear is saying the Mimic was being built for them, then either the story in the books will be different from the story in the games, or Fazbear Entertainment is lying. Fazbear could have easily heard what the Mimic was capable of.
It's a kind of prototype endoskeleton that can adapt to any costume and become any character.
And decided they wanted that technology for themselves. So now that Edwin is missing, they came up with the plan to enter his warehouse and steal it. But I don't think Fazbear will stop there. I think some of the most unique and beloved characters from Security Breach were all taken from Edwin's warehouse as well. At the end of the trailer, we get to see this giant animatronic that is essentially an early version of DJ Music Man. The fact that this thing can be found in Edwin's warehouse all the way back in 1979 tells me that DJ Music Man was likely originally built by Edwin, with Fazbear taking Edwin's Maestro Music Man and using it to create the DJ we all know and love decades later. The daycare attendant from Security Breach was also likely built by Edwin as well. MatPat put out a great theory a couple years ago where he pointed out that the teeth on Eclipse match perfectly with the teeth on the Mimic, along with the general design of the characters looking similar. I think he was right, and we're gonna see the earliest version of the daycare attendant appear in Secret of the Mimic. These are just one or two examples of Edwin's inventions likely being taken and reused by Fazbear Entertainment. But I don't think it'll stop there. I think other characters from Security Breach could have been Edwin's as well, such as the wet floor bots or even the staff bots. Here's why. In the books, we learned that one of Edwin's first inventions was a robotic vacuum cleaner, and in the recent update to 5 Laps at Freddy's, you can actually see a billboard advertising it. It was called Hugs, which could very well mean that Edwin was also the inventor of Mr. Hugs from FNAF 6. But the reason he created this robotic vacuum cleaner was because Edwin believed in, quote, building useful machines that would change people's lives. He believed in automating life's most mundane tasks, and he was sure he could create robots to replace most household chores people didn't enjoy. This is why we see a robot in the trailer that was made exclusively to sort mail. This is Edwin automating a mundane task, and I think the wet floor bots and the staff bots in Security Breach also fit that description. In general, I think there's a ton of stuff that Steelwool is hiding from us in this trailer. In the books, one of Edwin's jobs was to turn the mascot costume versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy into animatronics. So it's very possible that we're gonna see the original mascot versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy in Secret of the Mimic. They might even look similar to the
This may be the last ad you see. With Pi Adblock, visit your favorite websites and watch ads disappear. However, you can also opt to see certain ads and get paid. Just add it to your browser. It takes 2
concept art that I talked about last year, featuring mascot designs of the core animatronics. I also think we're gonna see the original Fredbear and Spring Bonnie mascot costumes. In the trailer, you can see
Yes. And that is exactly what I was about to just point out. I was just about to pause this and say that I really do think we're going to see those two in this game. Maybe not active, but just this bodysuits itself. Just wanted to point that out. Maybe they might be active during this game. Probably by Mimic, of course, but if not, then we're probably still going to see them either way, because this is literally early in the timeline, so we're obviously going to see them.
see Fredbear's Family Diner posters hanging on the walls. The same Fredbear.
Also, we're also going to see the original crew, like Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie. We're going to see them in there too, but just not like fully made, of course.
posters we found in Security Breach. Also, in one of the offices, you can see a pizza box sitting on the couch. Although you can't see the top of the box, I can tell you from playing the demo of the game at PAX West that those pizza boxes have Fredbear's Family Diner logos on them. Fredbear's is clearly being teased in this game, and if you look at the poster featuring Bonnie, you can see that the design looks exactly like Glitch Trap. Glitch Trap was the original mascot costume version of Spring Bonnie, and after 6 years of seeing the digital version of this character, I think we're finally gonna see this Bonnie mascot costume for the first time physically in this game, along with the debut of the Fredbear mascot costume in the same style as the poster. You can also see the cutout of an alligator character in the trailer, which could very well be the earliest version of Monty. Not only that, I think we'll also see a Monty mascot costume in the game as well. With this game taking place in 1979, there's so much potential to see the earliest versions of characters we've known and loved for the past decade. But this game isn't about the old characters, it's about hunting down one of the newest ones. Fazbear Entertainment is clearly doing everything they can to retrieve the Mimic. And in the story The Mimic from the books, we see them doing the same thing. Once Edwin goes missing, Fazbear sends 3 employees to Edwin's warehouse, called Team A. Team A eventually does find the Mimic, but once they do, they each get brutally killed one by one. After Team A got completely wiped out, Fazbear did the common sense thing and just sent another team of people into the warehouse, Team B. While Team B was exploring the warehouse, they found audio recordings left behind by Team A. This is how Team B found out about the Mimic. But even with the audio recordings, Team B still ended up getting wiped out by the Mimic. In the books, that's where the story ends. Both Team A and Team B fail to retrieve the Mimic. But although that's where the book ends, I think that's where Secret of the Mimic begins. I think we're entering Edwin's warehouse after Team A and Team B. If you go to this part of the trailer, you can see an elephant mascot costume missing its arm. And if you brighten up the image, you can...
Wait, so... I mean... even if that's true, when, like, obviously this is 1997, but like, when does this occur? Because wouldn't that take time, or was they going by days? Like, for example, like Team A went Monday, and they didn't come back with anything, so Team B went maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, or is this all in the same month or in the same year, is what I'm trying to say. Because if we are Team C, is it still 1979, or is it the same month, or is it the same week? Those are questions to ask.
You can see a human arm hanging out of the costume, wearing the same Fazbear uniform as us, with the same long sleeve shirt and gloves. This is someone from the previous teams who tried to retrieve the Mimic, but failed. And I'm willing to bet that we're also going to find audio logs from those previous teams throughout the game, just like in the books. We're the team going in after Team A and Team B, but what's interesting is that this time we're not a team, we're just one person. After sending in teams of at least 3 people at a time, Fazbear is now only sending in 1 person. Not only that, this game will probably end with us successfully retrieving the Mimic. I highly doubt that we're getting this whole game just to witness another failed attempt. So who is this one person who's actually able to get the job done? To me, this feels like Fazbear isn't messing around anymore. They know the one person who's capable of doing the job, and they're sending them in. Need more proof? Well, this is where we get to those 4 numbers, 4625. Like I said earlier, when we first saw these numbers, everyone thought it was the release date of the game, but that didn't end up being the case. So what could the numbers mean? Well, look at the context of where we find the numbers. They're in front of the building on what looks to be a fancy looking mailbox. And what do you usually see at the front of buildings on a mailbox? An address. The numbers are the address to Edwin's warehouse. And while I was researching for this video, I could have sworn I've seen a mailbox just like this before. So I looked up fancy mailbox on Google, and this came up. An almost 1-for-1 copy of the mailbox in Help Wanted 2. So now that we've established that this is the address of Edwin's warehouse, there's one important question left. Why does this matter? Well, its importance lies in what we do with the address. After getting the numbers, if you go back over to the table and take off the vanny mask, a van appears next to you. When the doors of the van open, you can see the mixes machine sitting inside. In order to get the ending of the content update, you need to walk up to mixes and input a code. The code you put in is the address to Edwin's warehouse. 4625. Once you put in the address, you see mixes appear, the doors shut, and the van drives off. This could mean a lot of things. Maybe it's telling us that mixes was originally made at Edwin's warehouse, 4625. But if you include the context of the van driving off, I think the more likely answer is Steelwell is showing us where mixes is being driven to. Once we put in that address, the van drives off. And how does the Secret of the Mimic trailer begin? With the van pulling up to Edwin's warehouse, 4625. The ending of the Help Wanted 2 update is showing us how Secret of the Mimic will begin. This is further proof that Fazbear Entertainment isn't messing around this time. This one person ending of the Help Wanted 2 update is showing us how Secret of the Mimic will begin. This is further proof that Fazbear Entertainment isn't messing around this time. This one person isn't going in blind and unprepared like the previous teams, they're bringing mixes with them. Mixes being around all the way back in 1979 was also heavily teased in the interview I did with Steelwell Studios.
That is deliberately supposed to be an older machine. So the Whopper being like a good example of like, hey, here's a supercomputer.
But it's old.
Before computers are like this big. The model just is not a modern computer.
No, it's not. It's very old.
It looks old.
I think Secret of the Mimic is going to show us why Mixes was built in the first place. But I think the more interesting question is, who do we play as in this game? Who created Mixes and brought it to Edwin's warehouse? Well, it has to be someone who's a genius engineer capable of creating something like Mixes, and it has to be someone who would be old enough in 1979 to do the job. I believe that person could be Henry Emily. I think that could make sense because Henry is a genius engineer, just like Edwin, so he would more or less know how to use all of the equipment that Edwin left behind, and he would be old enough in 1979 to do the job.
Yo, this makes so much sense. And here's why. Here's what I'm thinking on the top of my head right now. Henry Emily is, quote me if I'm wrong, he is the owner of Fazbear Entertainment. So by him going and figuring out all these technology and things of the nature, of course they're going to send someone with the intelligence of getting things out and done the right way in that manner. So I feel like this is, I really do think we are playing as Henry Emily in this new FNAF game, because that actually makes so much sense. The way he just put that, it makes so much sense. But if it's not, I'm gonna be mind blown. But this makes so much sense of how this actually could be Henry Emily. Like, that's all I'm thinking about now, is that this could be our chance to be playing as Henry Emily.
I originally thought we could play as Cassie's dad, but if Cassie's dad really is the Bonnie bully from the Bite of 1983, he would at most be 15 years old in 1979, which is way too young. I also think it's very possible that Henry was the one who created Mixes. In my last theory video, I explained why this could be the case. In Security Breach, we get to see Henry's labyrinth that he created to burn everyone to the ground in FNAF 6. And in Ruin, the door that leads us directly to Mixes is in Henry's labyrinth. Not only that, if you go through the door, you're met with what looks to be an extremely old staircase that leads right to the room with the Mixes machine. Why is the room with Mixes directly connected to Henry's labyrinth? Well, I think it might be because Henry had something to do with Mixes. To summarize, after Edwin Murray went missing, Fazbear Entertainment discovered the Mimic and came up with a plan to steal it. But after sending in two teams of people, Team A and Team B, who never made it out alive, they realized this wasn't wasn't a job for a regular employee. They needed one of their best engineers to step in, Henry Emily. Henry isn't going into that warehouse empty-handed though. He would then create Mixes, a supercomputer equipped with an antivirus that would help take down the Mimic. Henry then loaded Mixes into his van and drove to Edwin's abandoned factory, where he would use Mixes to successfully take down the Mimic all by himself. This is one of those theories that will immediately be proven right or wrong in the first 5 minutes of Secret of the Mimic, so it feels like a big swing. But I really do like the idea of the 4 numbers being an address, and by putting that address into Mixes, Steelwool is showing us where Mixes is being taken, and how Secret of the Mimic begins. I also think us playing as Henry would make sense, but it's very possible that we could be playing as just a random employee who happened to be the one person who took down the Mimic. We could also very well be playing as Cassie's dad, but that would mean either the Bonnie Bully in the Bite of 83 is way older than we thought, or Steelwool's gonna have to do a bit of retconning. Either way, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
There's a new deal.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, man, if we are actually playing as Henry Emily, that will be amazing. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But yeah, if you guys like this video, go subscribe to his channel. He does a crazy good amount of work on his videos, and yeah, leave a like on my video, and I will see you guys later today. Peace out.